So the long awaited and very anticipated ayahuasca video. What was my experience? What have I changed? Why did I do it? What even is it? All these questions I'm going to be going through as quickly as I can, but at the same time, without sacrificing on detail. So I'll start with what is ayahuasca. And I'll say straight away, some of you think, fucking hell, he's lost it. And I'm pleased if you do think that, because I never really had it. So I'm only improving. But what is ayahuasca? Essentially, it's quite mind-blowing, to be honest. And please, anyone who knows more than me, feel free to correct me. But I'm going to give you as much of the limited knowledge I've got in this area. Hence why I'm doing it, to learn more. But ayahuasca is the combination of two bits of tree bark from the Amazon, which I believe go completely nowhere near each other. When they're mixed together, it creates a substance which they call ayahuasca. And when us as humans drink it, we end up having an experience which is very healing for us. It's very healing mentally, emotionally, potentially physically. And it's essentially what people call plant medicine. I'm going to try and break this down so people who haven't heard about it can understand it, but then also not just talk too kind of basic at the same time. I'll just give you as much as I can. But anyway, ayahuasca is the two bits of bark which mix together, gives us a healing experience. It's what some people go to do to overcome childhood trauma. It's what some people do to further themselves, to learn more about themselves, which was mainly my reason. And it's a drink that you drink, and you end up having potential hallucinogenic experiences. It's what some people will say, it basically makes you face what you're currently avoiding and makes you look at the parts of you you maybe never looked at before. I would interpret that as it shows you your blind spots. It answers a lot of the questions you currently don't have answers to about yourself. It's a really quite, in my opinion, thorough way to get that little bit closer to a more peaceful life. Some people say it's like 10 years worth of therapy in a good few hours, because essentially when you take the ayahuasca, you're, dare I say, tripping for a good few hours. And when I say tripping, some people will interpret that as you're seeing mad shit and you're kind of off your head, and it's really not like that. I really believe the word tripping has been misinterpreted, and it's literally like going for the trip. You go for an experience. If you go for a trip away, you have an experience. You go and do something a little bit different and experience different things. And this is exactly what I would say this is. So that's essentially what it is. The reason why I took it and I wanted to do this ayahuasca ceremony with shamans and people I've never met before in a big room in the middle of nowhere is simply because physically, I like to think, and I believe I've done enough work to last me a good couple of lifetimes. If I want to change my physical health or body in any way, I'm well versed in that area. I feel like I've almost ticked that box, and I'm certainly on the way to, ticking it. Mentally, I believe there's no situation you can put me in and I won't handle and I won't be okay with. I'm okay with whatever happens in my life now. Two major situations in my life which have got me to that position, on top of all the work I've already done in regards to how to think better, how to manage stress, how to find your own peace, let's say, going bankrupt and losing mum, or going through mum passing. So those two things for me are like, if I can do that, and I kind of got through that and handled them both, in my opinion, very, very well, fucking hell, I can do anything mentally. I'm capable of whatever I put my mind to, essentially, is what I'm saying there. So there's no situation that I can't deal with mentally. I've been taught by the best in the world as far as mindset goes. Shout out to Peter Crone. If you don't follow him, go and follow him. I've been taught by the best in the world as far as physical health goes. Shout out N1 Education, Coach Kassem, Adam Miller, and all them guys over the pond, as they say. So for me, for my continual progression in myself and life, I had really two options. Surround myself with those who are further on than me and learn from them, which is difficult when you live in West Cumbria. And that's not a dig at anyone. That's a more of a view on myself, of my circle and my environment doesn't set me up for learning from people that have further down the path that I'm currently walking. So it's either that or you continue spending thousands on courses, and the more you learn, the more you have to spend to learn that a hell of a lot less. So let's say, for example, you first start learning how to drive. The first few lessons, you learn shitloads and you might be paying 20 quid a time. After 20 lessons, you're only learning tiny little bits, but you're still paying 20 quid. And that's the same really on investing in mentors and coaches and masterminds and courses, but on a much higher scale than 20 quid. So I didn't really want to go down that route. And the spirituality side of things, because ayahuasca is classed as spiritual, it's always intrigued me. So I turned to plant medicine, let's say, as my next teacher, my next mentor. So getting into the juicy parts, what happened? Did I discover all these crazy insights into who I am as a person and how I'm going to live a life of solitude and like start kind of just going a bit mental? Not at all. I'll try and paint the scene for you for anyone who hasn't done it before, maybe wants to do it and was interested in my experience, because I know quite a few people have asked for it. So essentially, strangely enough, I didn't actually mean to do this video today, but you have to wear all white. I know I've got brown. I know I've got dark pants on, blue pants on, but I mean, the thing is, you have to wear all white. You turn up to a village hall, you pay X amount of money to the shaman, and he agrees to guide you through your ayahuasca experience. There's an opening ceremony, which means essentially you learn about what's going to happen over the next 2 days, because it's a 2-day ceremony. You're there with your bed, your area, and your own space. We start at 10 o'clock at night, and we drink the ayahuasca, which is just a little shot glass of some. Well, a lot of people think it's not very nice taste, and I thought it was all right, to be fair, but I am all right with that type of side of things anyway. So I drank that, and I didn't really feel much, in all honesty. I was you're meant to go in, or some people say you're meant to go in with no expectations. Whatever ayahuasca is going to show you and give you, it's going to show you and give you, regardless of what kind of you go in there with, but your expectations can affect it, and you can sometimes face some nasty shit. There's a lot of people who go through a lot of traumatic stuff when they take ayahuasca, and it's to heal that area of them, they have to go through it and relive it and face it and put it to bed. Lucky for me, in all honesty, on my first occasion and experience with ayahuasca, it was nothing but amazing. Absolutely fucking amazing. And after I took it anyway, going back to that, I went back to my bed and I was sat there and I was waiting for something to happen. When am I going to start seeing some mad shit, you know? People talk about seeing kind of entities and different beings and stuff, and I didn't get none of it. And part of the introduction to taking it was make sure you sit up in this position kind of thing, right? Because when you lie down, there's a chance that you're falling asleep, and you've paid hundreds of pounds to go, and you've taken this medicine, and you don't just want to fall asleep, right? We start at 10 o'clock at night as well, so you've been up all day, you've been at work, you've had to travel down. You're tired by this point. A lot of people in the room were very nervous, naturally. A lot of their first times. It was my first time. In all honesty, I was probably more excited than I was nervous. I was curious and I was excited. I was like, right, I want to see what's going to go down. I was ready for whatever, and I was okay with whatever I was about to experience. So I took ayahuasca. I didn't really feel much. A few hours went by. I went back and got some more, because with it being your first time, you only get like half a dose to see how you handle it, and then you can get some more if you don't feel anything or you feel like you want some more. So I went back, got some more, obviously, and I still didn't feel much. I had this urge to lie down, but I remember the shamans kept saying, sit up, sit up, sit up. And I'm thinking, no, I should sit up. And I think, no, but I feel like I want to lie down. I really get this urge to lie down. So anyway, I stood up and I walked over to the middle of the room and the altar, because you can still get up and move around and things. And there's music playing. It's amazing. The live music is unbelievable. A really chilled out, relaxing music. And then it picks up a bit and there's some like groovy beats. And it's a varied music, right? But it controls the vibe of the room, and depending on where we are in the ceremony, it picks up and slows down, all this sort of stuff. But anyway, at this point, I stood up. I went over to the altar, which is essentially a load of different crystals and all this spiritual shit I don't really know about, to be fair. There's some candles and some fire and some, if I was to have a guess, I think I maybe seen mugwort. Like, I'm really stretching my knowledge of this stuff here, but I mean, like spiritual things, plants and bits and bobs, right? So that's all there, just in a nice display in the middle of the room. And I went and stood over it. I had my hands on my hips, and I was the only one stood up at this point, because times there's loads of people stood up and all having a dance and moving around and enjoying themselves, and sometimes everyone's in their own beds, in their own worlds, and I was the only one stood up at this point. And I was looking over the altar, and there was candles and there was plants and there was these crystals in the shape of, like, imagine like a skyscraper. So it kind of went up and then like a roof, almost like up in a triangle at the top, like a skyscraper. And I was looking down and I was looking at my legs, and this is where it gets a bit mad. I was looking at my legs and this altar, and I was thinking, fucking hell, I feel tall. I feel tall. I was like, my fucking legs look longer. I was looking at them even when I sat down as well. At one point I was like, fucking hell, my legs look longer here. I was thinking, am I growing? Yes, get in. No, I mean, I was looking at my legs and I felt taller. I felt like I just grew 6'4". I was thinking, fucking hell, this is really good stuff. But I was looking down on this altar, candles, greenery, crystals looking like buildings. And I got this epiphany and this kind of feeling of, fucking hell, it looks like I'm looking down on Earth. As I said, this is where it gets a bit mental. It looks like I'm looking down on Earth, because imagine taking a shot from a NASA space station, and it's a picture of Earth at nighttime, even though it's always nighttime in space, with all the lights on in a country. You could see the country, the greenery, the candles, the plants, the lights, and it looked like that. I was like, fucking hell, that's a bit weird. My legs are looking longer. I'm looking down on Earth. I'm going to go and sit down. So I went and sat down, and I laid down, and that's when it fucking hit us. I'm just going to quickly grab my journal, because this is where it gets even more mental. So this here is a book that I took with me to be able to write things down. And I laid down, and honestly, it was as if someone had just plugged in my brain to, you could say, universal consciousness, if you want to go down the spiritual route. For you normal people, you could say it's as if my brain just got plugged into the fucking supercomputer that just works out life, right? Again, bearing in mind, it's going to get a bit mental. So let's get into it. What did I experience? My mind just went fucking 100 miles an hour, and I was getting all these thoughts from God knows where, okay? Long story short, with this bit, I wrote a book. I'll give you the title in a minute. And when I say this just come to me, I mean it just come to me. Now, for you guys watching, you don't know what trainers I've got on, but imagine I could just plant that thought in your head and I could just throw it to you, and you know I've got white New Balance trainers on. It could be any trainer in the world, but you just knew it because I threw that thought into your mind. It just came from nowhere. That's exactly like what all this stuff came to me like, okay? So these phrases started coming to me, and I felt I had to write them down. But once that pen touched that paper, I didn't lift my head up for a good few hours. Time's a bit disorientating. It's not really a thing when you're on ayahuasca, from my experience anyway. So I'm saying a few hours. I don't know how long. It could have been 10 minutes. It could have been 4 hours. It felt about 4 hours. I'll read you some of the things. So there was literally, no word of a lie, I'm not exaggerating this, 10 pages worth of wisdom, as I'm going to call it. And hopefully some of these will really hit home and help. Because one thing I definitely got from it is that, again, even as I'm saying, it sounds a bit mental, but one thing I definitely got is that I'm a messenger and I'm here to share wisdom and messages from somewhere else, which isn't my head, although it's coming through my head. Just checking that's still recording because I can't be asked doing this again. So I'm going to tell you the exact first thing that came to me. I am a leader. My feet were made for making footprints for people to follow. I am the thinker, the observer, and the doer. Bearing in mind, I've just been stood above the altar in the middle of the room with no one else standing up. This is the next thing that came. I can and will be centre stage, bold and strong, a force to be reckoned with, solid security, but I can also be in the background taking notes. At this point, my mind's fucking blowing itself, and I'm writing this down thinking, oh my God, I can actually be at the back taking notes while I'm making notes, while I've just been stood in the centre of the room, bold and strong, centre stage. And then, like previous to that, I was sat in my bed during that time that nothing was happening. I was just observing everything. I dropped into this observer mode, and I was just looking around and, well, he's having a bad do over there. She is loving it over there. He's having a bad do. He's being sick. He's crying. Like, I was just taking it all in and thinking a lot. So considering this came out as I'm the observer and the doer and the thinker, I was like, this is a bit mental. What's going on? Now, the part of that phrase there where it says, I'm a leader, my feet were made for making footprints for people to follow. I was literally looking at my feet thinking, when I walk, these make footprints and people follow footprints. My feet and me as a guy, and my job on this earth to do is to walk, to create footprints for people to follow. And you could argue the case I do that in my job now, where, and you know, me in the nature of me making this video, I'm creating a little footprint that people may want to follow in. If they don't, that's also fine as well. But if they want to, then I'm just putting that footprint there for them to be able to step into. This is exactly what the books look like. Hopefully you can see that. And there's 10 pages of it. I'll try and tilt it down. Like, and all this stuff, I'll go through it. It just came to me out of nowhere. It goes on and on. So anyway, I'm not going to keep this all relating to me. I want to give some of these phrases which you guys will benefit from. And I don't know if you can see here, right at the very top right-hand side. That one says trauma is a thing of the past, and I've circled it. Now, I've got interpretations of all these different phrases, and for those of you who want to know them all and are really invested in this shit, I am going to be turning this into a book, hopefully over Christmas, and we'll be selling it on Amazon. I'll get to the title of the book, which again, I didn't come up with it, it just came to us. And the craziness of this, because it is fucking mental, like it is mental. Anyway, the trauma is a thing of the past. The reason, or the interpretation of that for me is, let's say, for example, you give up alcohol. Let's say you quit playing football. Let's say you used to be a bit of a dickhead and now you're not. And you'd often say, oh, it's a thing of the past, that. And it's a phrase we use to describe that thing or part of your life or whatever that thing is in the past. It's not here today. It's not relevant and here today with you as you speak, because it's a thing of the past. Now, trauma as a human emotional experience, it's trauma by default because it's something that was happened in the past and we bring it with us today. So if I got abused as a child, that feeling of being abused and the emotions that I was unable to digest and process stick with me, and it brings me to today, and it's traumatic for me today. That's trauma. So if we look at trauma being a thing of the past, my interpretation of this is we've got to leave it in the past. We don't want to bring it to today because ultimately it's then not a thing of the past, right? And we're going to keep on reliving that until we leave it in the past. So whatever you've done in the past or anything you've experienced or anything that has happened to you, I want you to leave it in the past because it's not happening here today. Another phrase that came out which may benefit some of you. You can't plan everything, but everything will plan out. I'll say that again. You can't plan everything, but everything will plan out. And when you do that, you get peace. Because whether you're bothered of it goes this way or that way, whatever way it goes, it's going to plan out. So if you're okay with that, then you're going to get peace. Because I think us as humans in this day and age, we get pushed down the rabbit hole of you should be married by this age, have kids, have a mortgage, get settled. And if you're not, then you're behind. Okay? I'll get on another phrase which just came to my mind as I'm talking, which is fantastic. But if you don't follow suit, you're a little bit behind and you try and plan everything out of, I'm going to go get a job, go to university, get a blah, 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 like go to university, get a job, do this and that. And you try and plan your life out, but you can't plan everything, but everything will plan out. I'm going to give you a phrase. I don't know exactly where it's in the book because it's fucking, there's so many different ones. Essentially, I know it off the top of my head though. No one is ahead of me. I am in first place on my own path. I'll say that one again. No one is ahead of me. I am in first place on my own path. So this is a phrase that come to me. And for me, in my own interpretation, it was no doubt some form of comparison thing. And again, the world we live in, we all compare. I think it's really bred into us now. It's human nature. And it's almost impossible not to on some form of level. I really believe it's impossible not to. But how that affects us, whether it motivates us or whether it is a detriment to us, is up to us. So if you understand, no one is ahead of you. You're in first place on your own path. You've got your own path like everyone else has got theirs. And everyone else is in first place on their path. So that's a phrase that came to me. And the other one that I want to share, I'll just kind of pick one which I hope is relevant and other people can relate to a little bit. Is and this is a little bit personal, but I think people will understand and get it and hopefully learn a thing maybe. But essentially, for me as a guy, I've always wanted to be able to put myself on any end of any scale at any time. Meaning, if I need to be present like this and do this turn for this video and communicate clearly and not worry about what people think when I'm doing it, then I can put myself at that end of the scale. If I need to be really kind of, I don't know, the other end of that scale, whatever that is, probably a bad example, but I can be there as well. Let's say, a bit more of an easy example, let's say I need to be violent because a burglar is coming into my home to hurt my family. I can be violent, but at the other end of the scale, I can be so compassionate and caring and loving. Let's say I can be, or I want to be able to put myself on the scale of being really, really happy, and I create my own happiness. But then at the other end of the scale, I'm okay with also being sad, and I don't mind being sad, and I'll happily cry. Well, happily cry, funny. So happily cry, that's a fucking mind fucking it. Anyway, I've always wanted to be able to put myself on any end of the scale, and without kind of being influenced as well by other people. So there was something that came up, if I can quickly find it, about this. And yeah. So I can think like fuck. I can also feel like fuck. I can be both or at any ends of any scale because I am the scale. Sounds a bit fucking mental, I know, I'm not going to repeat that one. But essentially, if I need to think, I can fucking think hard and think well. If I need to feel and get out of my head and stop overthinking, and I need to just feel shit and feel emotions and be more in my body almost and just feel shit, I can do that as well. And I can be both ends of those scales at any time I choose because I am the scale. So if you're watching and listening and thinking, what the fuck's he talking about? I don't really know how to explain any other way. Other than everything what we want to be is within us. So some people might say, oh, I'm naturally more X, Y, and Z. But they can also be the other side of the scale, whatever that scale is. And some people might say, I want to be more such and such. Well, that such and such that you want to be more of is within you. You just need to turn that dial up and choose to be more of that. You know, people look outwardly at, you know, I want to be more confident. Well, that confidence is within you. You just need to turn that dial up and pull it out of you rather than looking at external things for confidence. Drink, drugs, alcohol, like whatever the people, clothes, you know. So that's that. Essentially, in a nutshell, all these fucking phrases were coming to me and it went on and on and on until the ceremony was ending and I was there just fucking writing like a madman. So I'll get down to the even crazier part. One of the phrases that come to me, this is really pushing the boat out now in terms of craziness, is these are modern day hieroglyphs. Now, I didn't sit there and think, oh yeah, I wonder if this is what the fucking Egyptians, what the Egyptians done. And then I didn't sit there and think, oh, what fucking nice phrase can I come up with, which is a bit mental. Like, it just came to me. I don't know where it come from, and I'm just being as open and honest as I can here. And if, you know, people think I'm mental, people think I'm mental. That's all right. I'm all right with that. Probably I'm a bit mental, but I'd rather be a bit mental because society's fucked and the average person's fucked as well. So anyway, without going on tangents, actually, we'll go on that tangent. Often people think insane people are insane, but really, I'd argue the case. A lot of insane people are actually a hell of a lot more sane because if you look at the average person on the street, they're fucking insane. Anyway, what actually came after these are modern day hieroglyphs is the title of the book. And again, I will be turning this into an actual hard copy book where you can get it delivered to your home and you can feel it and grab it. Knowledge of the Gods was the title that came to me, which is a bit also mental because if anyone knows Graham Hancock, he's like a super intelligent archaeologist, historian, probably a few other things. He's like one of the best in the world as far as that side of things goes, and he's really looks into the past and ancient civilizations and the Egyptians and all this sort of crazy shit. He'd also done ayahuasca, and he also apparently created a book called, I think, don't quote me, but somewhat like Fingerprints of the Gods, I think it was. So when this came to me, I was like, fuck, this is mental. I'm blowing my own mind. What's going on? So essentially, it all kind of came to the end. I didn't actually feel any different as I do like here now with you talking. And all this was just coming into my mind and I wrote it all down. That will be getting turned into a book. And it was a bit of a thing of, I need to get this out there. A phrase I'm looking at now. I'm the messenger and the speaker. It's kind of fitting, isn't it, really? I'm the one who's got these little messages and now I'm fucking speaking it to you guys. Yeah, I could go on and on and on. So, funny, this is mental. So I was just about to stop there and the phrase I just read was, I know when to shut up, I know when to shout. And I knew this was the end of this part of the video that I should shut up because I'm going on. So I shall close that and let you know once that is being released on Amazon, I guess. The second night was completely different. I couldn't be any more different because I was actually unable to think on the second night. Second night, we had a little bit more, I hid a little bit more than the first night. I felt nerves had gone. It was full excitement. I was looking forward to writing another book, but my expectations were met with the opposite, which was essentially, if I was to describe it, I was a floorboard. I melted into the floor and I was stuck in the vibrational level. So I'm going to explain this in a way, again, some of you will already think I've lost it, so I might as well continue. Others that are understanding of this stuff will think fucking hell, keys at a class time, and it really was. We are here now this is my interpretation of it. It could be completely wrong, but my experience and my thoughts. So we are here now in the third dimension. in physical form, I can feel, I can touch, I'm human, I can die. I'm living, I can pass, blah, blah, blah. I can be hurt, etc. Everything that makes us up, as we all know, right? Now, a level above that is, again, just my interpretation, and it's probably not accurate, but whatever, the emotional level. So it's like, it's got a bit of human to it. It's emotions, but there's no physical body. If you were an emotion, and when I say you, I mean your soul, your consciousness, or you, not your name, not your body, not who you are watching, holding this phone. It's you as an entity, right? If you were an emotion, then they wouldn't have a physical body, but there's a bit of a human-like feel to it, right? The level above that is energy. So, for example, light bulbs have energy. Energy's got some form of kind of power, but it's not human-like, okay? And then the level above that, or in my interpretation, I was actually going down. I was going down the levels. And I think it was down because I was kind of stuck in the floor, is the vibrational level. So essentially what was going on in the normal English, I was lying on the floor, the music was going on, and the vibrations from the music were controlling my body, which essentially just melted me into the floor. I felt like my soul had just dropped right into the ground and I was stuck in the earth, and my body was stuck back up in the room, just melted into the floor, right? If I was to describe the feeling, some people say that when you die, the suffering stops, because as a human, you've got emotions to deal with 24 hours a day. And to some degree, we're all suffering. We're all wanting of something in any moment. My knee's aching a little bit now, so I want to fucking stand up, but I can't because I'm doing this. So at any point where we're wanting something, yeah? Now, when you die, you're not wanting of anything. So the suffering disappears and you gain the peace. That's the best I could explain what I felt. And I'm probably going to have to check this is still recording. Yeah. Fucking half an hour. I'll try and keep it short and sweet, but we are into the second night, so there's not long left. So essentially, I was in the vibrational level. And what I mean by that is I wasn't able to move my body. I felt so much peace. It's probably the best feeling I've ever felt. And it's a feeling you can't almost describe. If I was to try and describe it, it's like potentially passing and you've got no suffering whatsoever. Like, I wanted for nothing and I just wanted to stay there forever. You weren't even in your mind. You couldn't even really think too much. You were aware. I was aware of what I was feeling, but I couldn't really do too much about it. So every now and again, I'd pull myself up the levels, let's say I'm lying on the floor, and I'd pull my head off the floor, like, which was difficult. It took fucking loads of energy. And I'd look around, like there might be loads of people dancing around, but then I would literally like just fucking relax and fall back right down to the vibrational level. Every now and again, I don't know how long time had gone, because time's not a thing in the fucking vibrational level. I'd pull myself back up into my body again, which again it required a lot of effort. And I looked around the room and like there was no one there. And fucking, I don't know, in reality, 4 hours had probably passed or something. I honestly didn't have a clue. And it was funny because I was enjoying that feeling so much I didn't want to move. And I'd moved over at the very beginning or partway through anyway, to right by where the music was being played. So imagine you're lying in front of speakers, even though it was live, but imagine you're lying in front of speakers and you can feel the fucking beat in your chest. It was like that, but every single atom in your body was doing that. So if the music picked up, you're fucking like this, and if the music slowed down, you're just like, ah. And again, physically, I wasn't moving. It was just the feeling inside. Someone was a few meters behind us and they were tapping on the floor with the finger, and it felt like they were banging the fucking hand next to my ear. I heard someone zip up a bag, so it was like zzz, 15 meters away the other side of the room, and I thought they were right next to us, and I actually had to pull myself up into the body and look over because I thought they were next to us. They were 15 meters away. So like I'm speaking into this mic, which is connecting through that phone, etc. Like there's vibrations coming out of my mouth, going into the speaker, just being picked up by the phone. There's some form of connection there. And if I didn't have this on, it'd appear different because the sound's got to travel that way. Where in the vibrational level where I was, it was just, there was no such thing as distance. You know what I mean? So it was a bit fucking mental. I'm trying to explain it best I can, but it just, all I can say is it felt amazing. I was a floorboard, and I've never felt like anything like it. Eventually, I got myself in my body enough to be able to get myself back into my bed, and enjoyed the night from there. It was amazing. So that was the second night. I could go into more details, which aren't really going to benefit anyone or anything, and it kind of just goes on similar stuff like that. So you get the point. I guess my questions I blew away. What's happened since, and how have I felt since? What's changed since? Well, I'll tell you what, I've started thinking bigger. I have fully adopted parts of myself that I didn't know I hadn't adopted. So the part there where the first phrase saying I'm a leader and I'm here to make footprints for people to follow my footsteps. This is something that I've fully adopted now. It's like I feel like I fully know who I am. Before if I was to describe it fully honestly, I was trying, I was playing up to who I thought I was, when now I'm just me and I adopt all parts of me. I feel like I'm complete to a degree. I feel like self-doubt's gone, completely gone. Like, that's not an arrogant thing to say that I'll never be wrong, but when I know something, I know something. And that's probably the biggest thing I've actually got out of it personally is, previous to ayahuasca, I was very, what I'd call heady. I'd think my way out of any problem, logical solutions, analysing, problematic, if that's a word. And I'd think my way out of any problem, break it down, facts and figures type thing. When now I just know. I don't even have to think, I just know stuff. Don't know everything, obviously, but let's say I meet someone and I'm thinking, are they going to be my pal? Could be my pal. But and you start thinking, now I just know, fucking hell, me and him are going to get on. Me and him are going to be fucking good pals. Or, yeah, he's not my type of guy, him. Now we're, you know what I mean? Whatever it might be, there's just less thinking, more knowing. That was one of the phrases, actually. Those that think need to feel, and those that feel need to think. And the interpretation of that was, like, people often get in the head a lot, but they need to get a bit more in the emotions and feel a bit more and stop overthinking, and vice versa. So essentially, since what else has changed? I've started thinking bigger. So a video I put out the other day was about giving up alcohol for 12 months. Like, that's been a big part of my life for a long time, in all honesty. I've always liked to drink. I've always often took it too far. I'm thinking bigger, so often I'd think week to week, month to month. Now I'm thinking year to year, decade to decade, and that's a completely different level of thinking. And I really believe, without going too many tangents, the government want us just struggling to get through the day. When you start thinking year to year, decade to decade, I really believe you're a lot more powerful, and your life will be a lot more peaceful, successful, whatever that you determine that to be. It'll be a lot more productive, and you'll get more out of life as well. So that's a few things I've experienced since. Other things can be, emotional regulation was very, very good before, but it's even better now. Like, nothing much phases at all. Nothing much phases before, but like even more now. I'm a lot more, I guess, in tune with my emotions. It's difficult to put into words how much has changed. My ADHD tendencies are hardly there. I'm a lot more aware. I'm a lot more conscious. I'm a lot more present. I'm a lot more peaceful. I'm such a better version of myself, in all honesty. Like, even just doing this video, I'm doing it with ease. Previously I'd be sat there thinking, how do I look? How am I coming across? What are people going to think? This little chatter in the back of your mind and your ego kind of kicking off a little bit. It's just not as there anymore, So that's essentially what I've experienced in a nutshell, in probably a 40-minute nutshell now. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something from it. If you've got any questions, please ask. Like, I'm going on a bit of a whim here. We'd opening myself up to people thinking, fucking you mental bastard. And I'm all right with that because that's their interpretation of what I'm saying, and that's fine. So if you're there thinking, I want to ask that question, but I don't want to sound like an insane cunt, just ask it. We're all insane in our own way. So yeah, that's it. If you want to find out more about who I've done it with, costs, all that sort of stuff, just drop us a message. I can talk all day about this stuff anyway. So that's that. I hope this is still recording because I really can't be asked doing it again. Hope you got some benefit from it, and I'll let you know when the book's out because that is something that I need to share. All right.